slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In the yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 milli on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Hello everyone and welcome to week 1 of the Titan Immortal League. My name is Tokibi and joining me is Quax, and you're a veteran of this season. How are you doing here, and are you excited for this entire season to come through?
Yeah, welcome to the Immortal League, Toki. It's great to have you here, and with two teams that we're familiar with here in the Immortal League, right? We've got DropDeadGaming, former champions as of a couple of splits ago, runners-up in the most recent split, and then Summit Esports as well. Wawas, I believe, is the creative little tag they have at the end of the esport, but they were also in the last league. I got a little bit of information that they were third seeded at the end of the regular season, but got eliminated in the first round of playoffs. So definitely a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You got to imagine, Toki, going into this split, wanting to get higher than where they left off. And then for the case of DropDeadGaming, who you see on your screen, it's them just wanting to reclaim that first place with a new top and a new support.
Yeah, and they're going to have a pretty solid lineup here. Alaskan Kodiak in the top lane, Evil Lobster in the jungle, Never Saw in the mid lane, Brandy Fan bot, and Mr. Kiwiism in support. And like you said, top 2 in the last split, definitely going to be aiming for more, because second place, it is definitely a very good position to be in, but it just shows that you're just one game away from that championship. You're one win away from that whole series, so definitely we're going to want to do better this time. But on the other side, we do have Summit Esports Wawas, where we have Pixelated CB in the top lane, Morn in the jungle, May in the mid lane, and Nantono Asura, on ADC, and Poro in support. And you said they were third seed, got eliminated in quarters. A little bit less pressure for them in this first game if they're okay with ending at the same place they were last season, but I don't think that'll be the case. I think they're definitely going to want to try and put up a good fight today.
Right, and similar to DropDeadGaming, similar to Kodiak and Kiwiism on that other team, Summit Esports, they've got a new top laner and a new support rocking on their roster for this split as well. Pixelated is a new top laner for them, and then Poro is their new support. So it's just two organizations who had a pretty good run last Immortal League, trying to improve on their standings with a couple new pieces to replace and get into this well-oiled machine that have been these two organizations.
Yeah, and I mean, it is week 1, so some of these teams have definitely been practicing in the offseason. Obviously, they have a new roster, like you said, different tops, different supports. But I'm wondering if that's going to change the power rankings that we can expect today. Now, if anyone has read the little bit of content that we have for the Immortal League over in the Titan Discord,
which you definitely should.
I mean, everyone should be reading it. I mean, it is the single best literature we have to offer in the entire scene of League of Legends, not just in Titan. But DropDeadGaming, they were rated as S+, predicted to be one of the top teams. Yeah. I mean, like Quack said, have historically performed super well. I think these changes, I mean, Alaskan Kodiak is a player I definitely know, very skilled, has had a good history as a player and as a coach, I should add. So it'll bring a lot to the team. And the other side, Summit Esports Wawas, they were kind of rated as A to A+, I believe. And typically that is pretty good. That's something that, like, that's a good grade. You know, if you finish school with an A, you're happy. But because it's DropDeadGaming as the first week, I think it's going to be a very tough matchup for them. But I hope they're able to perform.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is definitely a series where we're expecting DropDead to come out, simply because the pedigree of this organization, as is pertains to the Immortal League, has always been at the top of the table, right? But I think depending on the resistance that we see from Summit Esports, if they possibly even, take this to game number 3, as long as they're challenging DropDeadGaming in these games, I feel like we could definitely expect them to at least reclaim their seed as the third place in this group, if not improve and possibly get to that second spot. But DropDeadGaming are aiming for first. I think everyone who knows this team is expecting them to get to first. A lot of these players as well, especially the mainstays for DropDeadGaming, have been probably the best in their role, bar almost none. Evil Lobster, I think, is one of the best junglers that Immortal has. He's extremely versatile for how he can play the game, loves to go for his fighters, but isn't afraid to be the carry when his team needs it the most. I mean, this man, you look at his OP.GG, you look at his match history, and he's got things like the Viego. He's got things like the Diana, but then he can switch to things like the Amumu. I think that versatility makes him a super dangerous jungler. Neversaw has always been a really, really well-versed mage player in the mid lane, and I think his consistency is something that really drives this team forward. And then Branyfan, I think, is probably the best ADC in this entire league, bar none. I wouldn't expect that to change here, in this particular fall Immortal League, Toki, because every time we see this guy, I'm just amazed at how well he's able to perform. He's always been the backbone of this team, and I don't expect that to change in this split.
Yeah, definitely not. And I mean, I am new to the scene. I am new to the Immortal League here. I'm definitely going to be trying to learn all of these players as much as I can as we go. But Branyfan, especially, just even through the OPGG, has really stood out to me. Because especially in the AD carry role, we see a lot of AD carries will just play 2 or 3 champions that they like, that they feel comfortable on, and that's all they're going to play. Branyfan, if I look at that match history, I don't think I see any mains. Because there are Varus, Jhin, Tristana, Corki, Ashe, Sivir, Swain, Senna, all of which are being played consistently. So it's going to be tough to ban someone out like that. And we have seen, at least in a couple of the other leagues, where AD carries do get targeted, especially in that second phase. So it's definitely going to give them an advantage, at least in the draft.
Yeah, I one tricking and like 2 tricking, it's good for like solo queue. I'm a Kha'Zix 1 trick. That's what's gotten me to like mid to high masters. But if you want to be the best in a competitive sphere, you got to be well versed in all of these different characters, right? And so I like that you kind of point that out, Toki, because that certainly is what Branyfan has shown, not just in solo queue, but just in his competitive series, right? He can carry, but he can carry with basically any weapon you give him. He is a master at arms, and I think that his arms and his hands in particular are the best part about him. They are one of the best parts about DropDeadGaming in general, and are what get them so many wins. But switching gears a little bit, because I do want to cover the Summit Esports boys as well. This was a team that we didn't really get to cover over the course of last split. I actually needed to get a bit of a refresher from our producers on this team about these players, because there's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good players. The Summit Esports, I needed a refresher, is point being. But honestly, I kind of look across the board and I feel like this is a similar story, right? You've got Morn, who's able to cultivate that same advantage that we talked about with Evil Lobster, where he's very well versed in all of these different styles, right? He's got things like the Pantheon, but then he can play things like the Elise. Right. And I am interested to see if this especially does go to game 3, what kind of pocket picks will be coming out for the Summit Esports boys, because I think in particular that jungler Morn has a champion pool that really could pull out some dark tech picks if the situation calls for it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to see for sure. Now, we should be heading over to draft in about a minute, so we're going to be able to see that very soon. But overall, like you said, for Summit, their AD carry also just plays a lot of champions. Their jungler, like I said, Morn, plays a lot of different champions. Pixelated plays a lot of champions, all at a ridiculous win rate, at least in solo queue terms. So individually, these should all be very strong players. And while DropDeadGaming, like you said, it's a team that's been together for a while. It's a team that's been able to perform. I always look at it where there's going to be teams that are that are able to win just through lane. So even if you don't have that team cohesion yet, even if you're a little bit newer playing completely together, you are going to be able to just absolutely dominate through lane. And then you might have a little few hiccups later on as you go through the game, but you're still going to be able to win just because of that goldie that you're able to accrue. So I'm wondering if that could be a style that Summit Esports could look for today, or maybe they are just confident in their team fighting ability. I mean, the offseason did take a little while, but I am getting news right now that we have run into a couple of technical issues there upon trying to get in the game. There are a couple player difficulties, let's just put it that way. But yeah, so we are going to be going to a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be heading into draft, and then after that, the game. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
All right, we're ready. I'm ready.
All right, sorry about that, but we are back in, and we do have ourselves a draft, and Summit Esports going to be over on the blue side, and DropDeadGaming going to be over on the red side. So, going to change up the draft a little bit, as we do see the Viego being the first ban from Summit Esports.
Yeah, there are a good amount of one tricks actually coming out from some of these players. Like in particular, Kiwiism is a huge lover of the Thresh. If you actually do take a look at his op.gg, really loves that champion. But then I also think that you've got Morn on things like the Amumu. He enjoys playing those as well. So if they want to try and take those away, that is also another option. But I do want to turn your attention to what we could possibly see for that first pick, Toki. I think oftentimes when we talk about these pre-made leagues, these leagues that are kind of within the realm of like platinum to masters, a lot of the times the best kind of B1 picks are meta picks, but also flex picks. And so I do think that we'll be seeing something along those lines here for B1. As for what it's going to be for Summit Esports, I feel like it's anyone's guess, but I mean, there are things that both the top and the jungler play, like Volibear comes to mind. Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
So that's going to come out. Really good top laner at the current moment. Pixelated does play that champion, but Morn also knows how to play that character as well. It's got really good gank potential, really good setup for objectives, and also could just be a raid boss if it gets ahead. I really think that mid game is when the champion shines, and that might be what Summit Esports are trying to play for. You mentioned how these teams can play through lanes if the cohesion isn't necessarily there yet, if they haven't had that time to gel. And I feel like that might be a strategy that they attempt to adopt here in game 1.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also important to note that this is still 25.19, so the Volibear nerf's definitely not coming in yet, as we do see the Karma getting locked in a second there for Summit Esports. And I've been a fan of Karma really across every single league, because, and I've always said this, and I'm wondering what your thoughts on this are, Quacks. Because I've always seen Karma as a very strong mage in the laning phase who transitions into a very strong enchanter into the late game. Because I think enchanter right now is one of the strongest support roles. I mean, we've even seen in pro leagues a lot of tanky supports are just kind of further down the line. It's something you pick closer to games 3 and onward rather than something you pick games 1 and 2. You want that. Well, really, you want the Karma. So I think it's a very solid pick, and it's going to be a takeaway too.
I also think it goes back to what we were just talking about, Toki, where it's another flex pick, right? I mean, Karma can go in mid, Karma can go in support. Those options are still available. Summit are actually going to reveal where that Volibear is going. They're going to pick up that Aatrox on 3, so the illusion of the flex is kind of lost. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, but looking at these comps right now, I do think the big thing that we need from Summit Esports is a form of engage, right? Because obviously you do have the Aatrox, you do have the Volibear, you have the potential to just run enemies down, but you need some type of snap engage, right? You need something in that support role that can really say, all right, let's go. And so that's why I'm kind of leaning more toward this Karma being a mid laner, because I would like to see an engage support come out here for Summit. I think that it'll be a lot more effective because you have the Volibear and the Aatrox and the Karma shields to follow up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Inspire could definitely help them engage a little bit with the Volibear, but definitely not going to be as strong as the Leona that we saw picked over in DropDeadGaming. But right here, right now, we do see Zeri locked in the AD carry role. So it is going to be Karma Zeri. It should be a pretty... Oh, no, it isn't. It is going to be the Karma over in the mid lane. I spoke a little bit too early, but yeah, you were completely right. It is going to be the Karma over in the mid lane, and it's going to be Zeri Rakan in the bot lane. So that will give them a little bit of that extra engage that you were hoping for, but Morgana in the mid lane as well. Now, speaking of uninteractive lanes, mid lane's definitely going to be one of them, because right now Morgana just able to one-shot that wave, immediately run away to the sides, and very interesting composition coming out from DropDeadGaming overall.
Yeah, Morga's gotten a lot of traction over the last couple of patches. It wasn't 25-19 where she received those little buffs to the Tormented Soil. It was 25-18. And so, yeah, I like that you kind of mentioned that, Toki. It's really basically been get Faded Ashes, push a lane, and then go try and roam, connect with your jungler. And I feel like this is a good style to have when you have a champion like Trundle, who is expected to be proactive early, wants to get stuff done around the map as soon as possible. So you have the Leona, you've got the Morgana, you've You've got these champions that are more than happy to roam and play around their early game win cons, and I do think that that is likely what we're going to be seeing here from DropDeadGaming in game number 1. You've got the Sivir to weak side, you have the Trundle, so I think if you just play through jungle and allow him to be in the face of this volley bear, sort of neutralize this guy as a threat, they'll be in a really good spot, and they have the late game insurance of the Sivir, so that to me is their win condition at the current moment, but we'll have to see how they play it as we are on to the Rift for game number 1.
Yeah, and right off the bat, we are going to see a little bit of stacking happening, just heading into that brush, but no one's going to be walking into each other quite yet, just going to be a little bit of a defensive stance, but they do have that defensive ward over on the top side for Summit Esports, but nothing has been spotted out by either team quite yet. So I'm wondering if this is just them trying to hold this area, maybe trying to start a fight. If DropDeadGaming did try to get that early ward on the Raptors, like we do see a lot of teams trying to go for, but not too much action happening early on.
I think Kodiak is maybe in a position where if he wants to get a ward onto that blue buff and some early information onto where Morn's pathing will take him, that is an option. But looking at the mid lane, yet again, we've got the Karma, we've got the Morgana. These are two champions that you're not really expecting to have a ton of agency as independent variables. They more so are just looking to be connective pieces for their junglers to really get that snowball rolling. And so I think it's going to be a battle of who gets pushed first, who is able to be freed up in the lane, and who is able to move around the map more often, because I think both junglers are a significant win condition in the early game. And then it kind of fades out a little bit into the AD carries taking over, right? You've got your Zeri, you've got your Sivir, but if those junglers can be the bridge, you have a really nice transition of power as to who will be the carry for both of these comps.
Yeah, and we're even seeing a little bit of an interesting path coming out from Morn right now. Start on the Raptors, then immediately went up top, starting on the Wolves, now going to be pathing up towards that top lane. So could be looking for an early gang onto Alaskan Kodiak as Mr. Kiwiism getting knocked up by the Grand Entrance, taking a lot of damage. Not on Asura, able to get so much damage over on this Leona. And that's going to make it so much harder for this Leona to engage now.
And Leona opted for the Aftershock, right? You're going Ignite. If you're the one constantly being bullied out in this lane, you're not going to get much efficiency out of that Summoner spell. You don't have the option to change because you didn't go for the Summoner spell book. That just means you're kind of jailed with an offensive Summoner spell that you can't really use. So I do like the aggression coming out from Poro, coming out from Asura, knowing that they have the level 2 advantage first and really pressing it in this laning phase to get priority for their jungler.
Yeah, the two junglers, they may end up meeting sooner. Evil Lobster never saw. They're going to be first on this red buff. Morn going to be walking in. They do spot it out, but
wow.
The Sky Splitter, definitely one of the best abilities you can have in that moment right there. Just able to find it from range. Make sure the Dark Binding was never going to be a true threat, but I mean, it's really good for Morn just knowing that that's a possibility. They saw that Never Saw left the lane. Just have to keep track of that.
Yep, and that's what we're talking about, right? Get push, immediately roam with your jungler, make aggressive plays, but Morn's Spidey sense was tingling a little bit, Toki, so he does get that Sky Splitter into the bush and immediately spots out what Lobster is doing, but because Asura and
but they're going to be fighting here. Morn immediately going to be going into Evil Lobster, but they're aiming towards Brandyfan over in the backline right now, but Brandyfan able to back away for now, and now Morn going to be super low. First blood going over to Evil Lobster, and going to be able to get a second kill. Now Poro is alone versus 4, should follow, and they're just going to get that Evil Lobster as well. Full feats of warfare, just going straight to DropDeadGaming, and all of that in the hands of Evil Lobster.
And there we go. The Ignite from Kiwiism actually does so much there at making sure Morn can't get the heal off on his W. He can't survive so that his bot lane can back him up. He dies and has no way out. And that 1 kill turns into 3. So already DropDeadGaming, they secure the feats of warfare, and all of that gold is onto the jungler. The early game power of this Trundle just got significantly more scary for the side of Summit Esports.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of an exaggeration here, but actually, let's just take a look over at the replay. So, yeah, Morn just kind of alone starting that off, but walk us through this.
Yeah, I mean, Morn, like, look at him. He gets immediately ignited by Kiwiism. He tries to go for a W. He really has no way to prolong the fight. He also just didn't have priority. When that invade from the Trundle went down, it was actually Poro and Azeri forced to give a little bit of that priority that they had gained to maybe back him up. This allowed DropDeadGaming to regain push and then rotate to the grab faster. So it's just a difference of priority. It's a difference of summoner spells that ignite coming in clutch. And now, once again, you've got a 3-0 Trundle who, strangely enough, Branny, has yet to back, by the way, Toki. He is still sitting. Okay, there we go. He finally gets his reset, goes for the Tiamat. So is what I would imagine already going for the Titanic, right? Is really just looking to be up in your face with auto attacks.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very strong Trundle. And I know in general, when you're ahead, you definitely just want to have as much damage, as much pacing as possible. And the Tiamat is going to help Evil Lobster with the clear as well. Just especially with those Raptors, with those Wolves. And that'll let Evil Lobster be on the map even longer. But they're just going to take the Scuttle Crab, and they're going to immediately get started on the Dragon. They have priority in mid lane, they have priority in bot lane. Evil Lobster is the strongest champion on the entire map. So no reason why they can't just take this free objective.
And there's really nothing on the map for Summit Esports to really reclaim, right? Morn was on that top side, got a little bit of vision on the Raptors, but was only able to just get some vision, right? Isn't able to really steal away a camp, isn't able to affect a lane on the cross map. So all in all, it's just DropDeadGaming getting stuff for free. Alaskan Kodiak maybe going for a dive.
Yeah, gonna get that first kill immediately, and we'll take a couple tower shots on the way out, but that's a cannon miss, that's half a wave, and another kill. And look at the CS difference in the top lane as well. Alaskan Kodiak just so far ahead now over Pixelated CB.
And the flash coming out from Pixelated as well. He dies anyway, so that's a summoner advantage for the Renekton as well to maybe look for a repeat kill. Or at the very least, it is an easier time for Evil Lobster to maybe get something done on the top side in case the Aatrox ever does push a little too far up, as it seems we have pushed our luck a little bit. As nope, we're back. All right, it was a pause, but we have returned.
Yeah, they were just doing it. It is tradition. Week 1 especially have a couple of technical issues, so they're just getting it out of the way early. Hopefully that's the only one that we're going to have today, but definitely don't want to jinx it. If there's any caster curse I'm scared of, it's the pause caster curse. But let's just take a moment and take a look over on the map in general, because obviously a huge lead right now in the top lane for Alaskan Kodiak. Evil Lobster not up too much in CS, but 3 full kills over Morn. But lane swap happening as well at the same time. Branny Fan now going to be in the top lane with Mr. Kiwiism, and that's actually a massive wave to give over to your Sivir too.
It actually is really, really big. So Branny Fan is going to be able to shove this in. Kiwiism is here as well. Lobster is on the top side, as is Morn. So if they wanted to go for a dive, I would expect that Summit Esports could cover for this. So that leads me to believe they probably aren't going to even attempt it. It depends on if Neversaw is also able to move, because we talked about the importance of those mid laners being able to, you know, rotate around with their junglers. We saw it in that play with the red buff early on in this game, but since then, not a ton of action has been had here by the Karma or Morgana.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing for them to help on, because with Evil Lobster being as strong as he is, I don't think they want to fight him at all. And if you're not able to fight in the jungle, like you said, that's where both of these two teams would want to make their early plays. You're just not going to be able to fight in general. So Morn playing definitely a lot more passive now. Evil Lobster playing a lot more passive, and because of that, May, and Neversaw just really don't have anywhere to go. But with this lane swap, it does allow them to take the grubs on the top side. Oh, and they might be setting up for a dive on the top lane as well. Pixelated CB could definitely be in trouble here, as they are setting up. Evil Lobster's already showing. And the waves approaching. Pixelated CB already at half HP. Does have the World Ender, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's going to pop right now, but Solar Flare, just all the stuns over top. 0 chance to survive there. So that's going to be a successful dive over on the top side. But Alaskan Kodiak could also be in danger, but Dominus is available. More not really in position yet.
There is the ultimate there from the Volley Bear to disable the turret, but you better hope that you can burst this guy through the Dominus, because if not, he is going to tear you asunder. This is a dive being had by Summit, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, they're gonna go for it. They have to be quick. Grand entrance over top, just everything, pile everything on Alaskan Kodiak, but isn't enough. Still able to heal away with Call the Beak, trying to get the stun backwards. Morn gonna be super low, will flash away just in time. Mr. Kiwiism is gonna be here, but there's no damage. So very, very successful gank coming out from Summit Esports, and they needed that to succeed if they wanted a chance this game.
That would have been just, I feel, a game over play if it didn't actually succeed for the side of Summit Esports. You don't get the dive, and you don't even get a couple of plates with it, because not only did DropDeadGaming get the kill, you know, a successful dive on the other side, they also got the turret, right? Because they had taken those grubs, and with something like Trundle, I mean, he melts towers. And so we see all of that gold injection into the Trundle. Not only that, but Brannifan as well, getting a massive payout on the Sivir. We're already starting to see that transition, that bridge being built for this ADC to really come online toward the mid to late game. As we are going to get a bit of a replay here on the top dive. Not much to be had here. I like the patience coming out here from DropDead. They really wait to get it so that Kiwiism is actually the guy taking the aggro because he has W, which beefs him up a little bit. They're patient with the dive. They don't overforce. They juggle the aggro and they put it on the right person. And then right here, you could see, I mean, we were getting nervous here, Toki, on whether or not this was going to succeed with the Sky Splitter.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we don't see it right now because of picture-in-picture, but Mr. Kiwiism was very close by. If that dive was just a little bit later, I think Alaskan Kodiak could have turned and maybe killed 2 or even all 3 of them in reply. And Mr. Kiwiism actually burned the flash there as well for that play. As we do see, Solar Flare just went off from Mr. Kiwiism, but doesn't seem to have forced anything. All the summoners are still available, at least the ones that have been available. So just going to be a use of ultimate there.
Right now, you see the dragon has spawned on the bot side, so DropDead so far have got a good amount of priority in mid and bot. You can see that Brannifan with first item is just being a tyrant in the lane.
Never saw us getting chased down, though. Guys that are not going to be enough, and obviously with the Black Shield, the stun from the Thundering Smash not going to come through, but Evil Lobster is going to be on the dragon already with a full Titanic Hydra as well, though Morn also has that Cosmic Drive finished off, but it looks like they are trying to contest it, but they're a little bit split right now in Summit Esports. I don't know if they can walk into this, and honestly, at this point, walking away, I think that was the right call.
That was a good shout there, Toki. I mean, they are basically divided for that fight. They would have to try and do something like a pincer, but I think that Kiwiism in particular was doing a really good job at just making sure that that Tribush didn't give them an entry to go in toward that dragon. So DropDeadGaming, they cover all of their bases. They make sure that Summit Esports aren't really able to group on together, and they claim their second Drake of the game. So far, everything has been going up for DropDeadGaming, and nothing seems to be really going right for Summit so far. They've gotten that 1 kill off of that dive, but it really just feels like DropDeadGaming are playing this game at a faster pace so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been their tempo from start to finish so far. Well, I say finish, from start to pause. I think that would be the better way to put it. But they're definitely getting everything that they want. They got 2 dragons. They got the first 3 kills. I believe that was feats completed as well, because they did get the grubs earlier on. So that was their 3rd objective with that last dragon. So they're in a huge, huge power spike right now. But one potential thing we can see for Summit Esports, because we've seen this across every level of play, including Tier 1 Professional, the Otacon is going to be spawning soon. And if there's anywhere teams have been known to throw, it is at the Otacon. So I really want to see DropDeadGaming play through that in a smart and controlled way, but it's going to be up to them. It's going to be their prerogative.
You said it. I mean, I took the words right out of my mouth. Otacon literally is the judge of who gets to win this game. He's judge, jury, and executioner all rolled up into one extremely ugly objective on the bot side, I believe, for this game. So looking forward to that. But it is still going to be a decent amount of time before Otacon spawns. So there is plenty of time for DropDeadGaming, I think, to continue accelerating this game to the point where, you know, contesting the Otacon becomes just a fantasy for the side of Summit Esports. And then Summit Esports tangentially, maybe they find some type of a pick at the current moment. I mean, there's flashes available for everyone except Alaskan Kodiak, so maybe there is an angle onto the Renekton. But so far, all of the attention seems to be paid toward the bot side. We really haven't seen much attention for Pixelated on this Aatrox.
Yeah, definitely not much yet, but I mean, we're seeing Nantano Asura is definitely still able to farm this game. Granted, Brandifan did go Cull, and that's about a pop, so Brandifan actually going to be quite rich, especially with this extra plate coming over. And potential dive in the bot lane. I don't think they have the wave to do this, but Evil Lobster definitely in the area. Most likely just in the area in case Morn is trying to go for the dive. As we do have our usual little pause a buffer here. This is completely normal. We'll be back into regular play very shortly.
And I like that you mentioned the dive there probably not being possible for DropDeadGaming, because not only is the wave just really not there, that's the big thing, but also, I mean, that experimental hex plate makes it so difficult for you to actually get an angle onto Asura. That extra health that you get from that item makes you really deceptively tanky, and so I think even if they are able to collapse onto the tower, they just might not have the damage to actually one-shot the Zeri through the health that it gives you, on top of the fact that Poro is right there ready to protect his AD carry.
Yeah, I mean, quickness and grand entrance, those are both very difficult abilities to dive into, but I'm going to change gears a little bit here, because right now, obviously, DropDeadGaming, they have a pretty sizable advantage. They're doing quite well in the early game, looking to transition that into the mid game, but my question to you is, if this does go to late game, is there a chance where Summit Esports are able to outscale DropDeadGaming just by waiting to the point where they're able to come online?
I mean, I feel like the big thing when we talk about scaling, right, it has to be relative to the Dragons. And so far, the Dragons are owned by DropDeadGaming. The first two have been claimed by them basically without struggle from the side of Summit Esports. So I think even if they do scale, if they don't get those Dragons under control, it's not really going to matter, right? Because if this is a Cloud Dragon, which normally people laugh at, but I'm not going to be laughing at a Cloud Dragon souped up on the hunt Sivir along with a Trundle just running at me at the speed of sound. That's no joking matter.
This is actually going to get popped.
Side.
Mr. Kiwiism taking a little bit, but actually goes back in with his Zenith Blade. Solar Flare over top. Evil Lobster now also in the area. Poro able to get away in time, but Nado no Asura just continuously throwing out those shots. Look at that move speed from the Lightning Crash. Now they're turning their attention over to Evil Lobster, but they're able to flash away. But Nado no Asura still looking for more, trying to get those bounces. Mr. Kiwiism so low, but another Clip's able to come out over top. Never Saw and Mei are both now in the area, but somehow no one goes down. But clearly there is no lack of confidence coming out from the Summit Esports bot lane.
Yeah, really, really good movement coming out there from Offsura to just bite back into 3v3. Doesn't end up getting any kind of a kill, but I think at least they'll get the pushing wave and will get a good reset timer here for their AD carry. If there was one piece that they could play around, it's gotta be this Zeri. We talk about that bridge that the...
Oh, but Evil Lobster alone walking over into two. Nanto no Asura still trying to deal damage. Norn as well. And just one more hit is all that's needed, and that's gonna be a shutdown. Going over, but now Mr. Kiwiism flashing in. Grand entrance to go back. It is 3v2, and they even have the ultimate. The Stormbringer coming out over top, and Mr. Kiwiism going to be the next to go down, but it will be traded back. And now Brandifan 1v2. Grand entrance going to be coming out over top, but it looks like they're just going to try to kite back. Poro super low as well, but no, the flash going to come through, and it will be a double kill. So it is a 2-for-2, and now Never Saw coming in from behind. Nanto no Asura, very low HP, but should be able to just back away safely. But that will be another tower going over, as DDG also did get first tower in the top lane.
Overall, I would say it's a positive for both teams. Sure, I mean, if I were to give the victory to one team, it would probably be DropDead, not only because you got the 2 kills onto your Sivir, and he had previously, only been 0-0 and 4, but you also get that turret, right? There has been so much objective gold funneled into this Sivir that now it's becoming a legitimate late-game viable threat. As we see the replay, I think Evil Lobster just assumed that most of the other members from the side of Summit Esports had backed, or maybe he was just looking to cancel them before his bot lane could come in and they could maybe try and fight the 3v3, but they overplay their hand. And I like Branny.
Oh, but now in the picture there's a team fight happening as over the top side. Morn just gonna get crashed down. Evil Lobster gonna be able to secure that kill, and that's gonna give them the Rift Herald as well. So once again, Evil Lobster just owning this map.
And I feel like this is something that DropDeadGaming can just hold on to. Sure, you can charge it right away and say, let's just take this mid turret, we'll get all the outers, and we can extend that vision line. But if you want, you hold it until the Otacon spawns in around 3.5 minutes. you use that as a bridge and then make sure that Summit Esports absorb all that pressure. But they're looking a little bit, they're looking a little bit back and they're thinking a little bit more present. So they're just going to drop the Herald here, get the mid turret immediately, and then transition down to the Dragon.
And the Dragon is going to be spawning here right now. It's the third Dragon. If DropDeadGaming are able to get it, it will be Soul Point after.
Yep.
And it's decently early. They could even look for it at around the 23-minute mark.
Minutes.
But that's if Summit let them, because right now it does seem like they are walking over, at least trying to get some vision. And they're all trying to group together, but Mei once again just not with the team, just trying to push over through that bot lane. And I think DropDeadGaming, it should just be theirs, but instead they're going to be able to land the Dark Binding, and instead it's just going to be another kill onto Morn. It's going to be the Dragon. Now Laskin Kodiak, TP from behind, flashes in as well. And it's just going to be onto Poro. Mr. Kiwiism going to be able to secure that kill, but 2-0 and a Dragon. DropDeadGaming can do no wrong today.
Morn wanted to try and contest it, but I love the positioning there from Neversaw, just playing up, knowing that he has his team to back him up in case the side of Summit Esports actually want to pull the trigger. They try, but the Dark Binding lands, and they take down the jungler of Summit. Really good game so far from the mid jungle of DropDeadGaming. We've known that Evil Lobster and Neversaw have been veterans of this program and have been such a big reason why it has been successful, but this is here in the flesh why that is the case. And then Kodiak with the baller banger TP just wants a piece of the action. My man doesn't even secure the kill. It goes over to the Leona, but he gets that participation award, Toki.
Yeah, I mean, that's what matters. And I think it did help a lot. Just Alaskan funneling everyone down into the rest of the team, basically made sure there was no exit. Helped so much for the team to clean up. Not that they really needed too much help, but still, gotta give credit where it's due.
Yeah. And now we're at about a minute and a half until Otacon makes his presence onto the bot side of the map. And you can see, I mean, DropDeadGaming, look at the vision that they have established over that part of the map, though they have no topside vision.
Yeah,
and now maybe they...
Kodiak, though, and Lightning Crash gonna come through, but little bit of healing is gonna come. Do they have enough damage through the Dominus? One more, and Nantono Astra actually has the DPS needed, even through the Dominus. Laskin Kodiak not able to survive. They could look for Neversaw as well, but Neversaw actually going in. Soul Shackles onto 4, gonna split,
way.
And that will take 2. Are you kidding me? Neversaw just making a play out of nothing. 1v4, and now Morn and Pixelated CB, they are running away, but Pixelated CB gonna try and turn. Sky Splitter lands as well. Neversaw super low, but now Solar Flare over top, and they might just find even more. Pixelated CB will be able to get the shutdown back onto Neversaw. Now it's gonna be support trying to fight against the Aatrox, but no matter who that favors, what a play from Neversaw.
Wow, Neversaw with the hero play on the top side, takes 2 with him and stalls out the 2 survivors in the top lane. Yeah, it's a kill onto Alaskan Kodiak. You were questioning whether they had the damage, and then Neversaw here. I expected him to just run away, say, you know what, I'll give up this tower. It's not worth sacrificing my life. He flashes, ults, splits up the members of Summit Esports, and then stalls out the top jungle enough to where the mid and bot lane, you can't see it on the map though, but they turn this map into a super flat world from Minecraft. They decimate everything. Only the slimes are there to witness the outer base of this Summit Esports squad. Is now the Otacon
another Lightning Crash coming through. Evil Lobster taking a lot of damage. Will get zoned away from the fight. Mr. Kiwiism in the front lane. Actually going to flash in, looking for the Shield of Daybreak. But so far, no one going fully down. Yet, as I say that, Brandyfan is caught out on the side. Will flash away just in time. And now Mr. Kiwiism taking so much damage again. And no one's going down. Morn's going to be the first to go down. Now Tono Astra starting to get super low as well. It's going to be 2 down from Summit. Make that 3 as Alaskan Kodiak going to come in and clean up the fight. DropDeadGaming, another 3-0.
And I feel like DropDeadGaming gotta be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief, particularly Brandyfan breathing a sigh of relief. He almost got caught and killed on the side of that Otacon. Lives to tell the tale though, flashes over the wall, and they secured the kills. They stall out long enough to get those abilities off of cooldown and recycle their combos. They will secure the Otacon. They're on Soul Point, and that might just turn into a Soul in 50 seconds as the Dragon is coming up soon here, Toki. We're going to get a bit of a replay. We did miss the first part of this initial engage here by Summit Esports. They chunk out Evil Lobster, but then Brandy Fan, I really want to pay attention to what happened here. So he's chunking out Morn. I think he lost a vision, didn't know the flash was still there from Bali Bear. And then I really just feel he overplayed his hand with vision and didn't know the sums available for the pick tools on the opposition. So he still manages to live, and now we're right back to live.
Yeah, but the quickness is going to be coming through. Grand Entrance over top of Brandy Fan, able to spell shield the stun. And instead it's going to be more that's going down as Neversaw coming in with another Soul Shackle. Only lands fully on one, and that's just going to be Poro going down. Antonio Asura going to get chased down as well. And Pixelated CB, the last one that's still in danger, Alaskan Kodiak will get the stun. Do they have the damage? And actually, Brandy Fan is on the way. They could look for this, but again, just going to dash over the wall.
Jump.
World Ender as well. Mr. Kiwism gonna be here, but just trying to get in the way. And ultimately, it was a 2-for-0, but actually Neversaw's here. They're just playing around with their food. And Pixelated CB will eventually get away, but that was just a support buying time.
Yeah, my man is cosplaying Roadrunner here, as manages to get away, lives to tell the tale. No Wile E. Coyote going to be picking him off this time, aka Mr. Kiwiism. But the Dragon, not so lucky. Soul secured here for DropDeadGaming. 23 minutes into the game. This match has gone by so quickly. The pace at which this team has been playing League of Legends, Toki. This is why they were the runner-ups last split. This is why they were the champions the split before that. This organization is so good at playing fast, and we can see any team they go against, they just can't keep up. They are not nearly at the same level of gold XP and just overall items that DropDeadGaming are, and because of that, it just turns into a wallet diff now.
Yeah, and the pacing has just been so fast from DropDeadGaming, kind of like you said. And it's really hard to say because there isn't any one specific player that's been doing it. It's the team as a whole. I mean, obviously Evil Lobster, definitely the beneficiary of a lot of those plays, but every single fight has just been, DropDeadGaming's been able to bring more people, at least to the start of the fight. They were the ones that choose the pace, they're the ones that choose the tempo, and they're the ones that are able to make use of it as well. So gonna be a very difficult game to come back from Summit, but if you are a Summit fan right now, what do you want to see these players do in order to get back into this?
Think about game 2, honestly. This is not a very fun angle to talk about. What can we do to get this game back in our clutches? I mean, I don't like mentioning the gold difference very much, Toki, but it's 11k basically. It's 10 to 11k in favor of DropDeadGaming. They
is gonna get bounced as well.
They can walk in with impunity, my friend.
Yep, but they're actually going to be trading it back right now. Mr. Kiwism taking a lot of damage all the way back, but Neversaw again flashing over the wall with the Soul Shackle, but the quickness actually preventing everything. Morn is the first to go down, but the damage just is not there. They're looking for the angles, they're looking for the plays. It's a double kill for Brandy Fan. Make that a triple, and this could just be the end of the game. DropDeadGaming just making sure that the entire team is able to continue fighting forward, and they're just gonna die with no minions. Why not? Tier 3, it is safe because DropDeadGaming get an ace.
Pixelated is just putting a time capsule. My friend is rooted and stunned for a million years. The Aatrox is the last to go down as DropDeadGaming get a clean ace essentially onto the side of Summit Esports. They aren't going to push their luck onto the base. They're going to go for the Baron, likely take a reset after this, and then come back onto the map, new and upgraded, and wearing a whole heck of a lot of purple, my friend.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they could have ended the game, but I think that might even be the point, because they might have been wondering as well. No point to risk it, just take the safe objective. They are so far ahead.
It's a safer play, in my opinion, to go for the Baron. You just say, all right, we might be able to end the game, but if we can't, it's a lot of gold for Summit. But if we get the Baron, we definitely can end the game as more.
Oh, but Neversaw gonna get stunned up. A lot of chain CC over top. The Black Shield is gonna be enough, but Morn gonna still get the kill. Trade 1-for-1. But about the rest of the team by Nanto taking so much damage. Poro as well. Now Alaskan Kodiak in the back line. It's gonna be another double kill going over to Brandy. And the Evil Lobster gonna get the third. Pixelated once again gonna go down. So they delayed it for the Baron, but they're able to just walk back in, take the team fight. And it looks like DropDeadGaming, they're gonna be taking game number 1.
And DropDeadGaming get more kills in this game than there are minutes of game time. 27 kills in 26 and a half minutes. This team is back, baby.
Yeah, I mean, just an absolute shellacking from them. And Quacks, I gotta ask you something. Do you know why DropDeadGaming weren't able to get more kills that game?
They didn't feel like it. They were only using 50% of their power, my friend Toki. You'll get to learn this team's name very, very quickly, as I think everybody who is watching and everybody who is involved in the Immortal League this season should learn these guys' names. Alaskan Kodiak, Evil Lobster, Never Saw Brandyfan, and Mr. Kiwiism. This is a team that is looking to go all the way, and with performances like that, you better believe they've got the bite to match their bark.
Yeah, I mean, 27-6. What an absolute scoreline right there. We're even seeing the level differences. 2 in the top lane, 3 in the jungle. I mean, 3 on ADC as well. That is not a role that typically has high levels. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one side of what you got to do for Summit to get back into this game too. I mean, look at that gold graph. It's a perfect cliff.
Yeah, it really is. It's got a nice little trajectory there. And then the support has to go on and ruin it. Why didn't the Leona have 36,000 damage, Toki? The world will never know. Everybody has to flame Kiwiism for ruining our perfect little graph here. But in all honesty, I feel like this game was just played pixel perfectly, right? We told them what the win condition was from the start of draft. We said that this Trundle wants to get onto the map early, wants to make aggressive plays, wants to be proactive with that press the attack keystone, and then transition that into a lot of strength for the Sivir. That is your late game win condition. It's exactly what they did, right? Trundle starts out with the triple kill. They turn all of their attention to the bot lane. Brandyfan is able to get so much gold with the swap. They're diving. They're making aggressive plays, and they're making sure that Sivir gets those item spikes as soon as possible. It was played clean as hell, pixel perfect. And another game like that, we might just get out of here early, Toki.
Yeah, and we'll see if DropDeadGaming will let us head out early today when we head into game number 2. But for now, we're going to go to a break. So we'll be back soon, and don't go anywhere. We're going to have ourselves a great series. Welcome back, everyone. We are here for game number 2 between DropDeadGaming and Summit Esports. Wawas. DropDeadGaming with an absolutely massive one-sided game 1, and they're definitely going to be looking to do the same in game 2.
Yeah, for sure. Really good stuff coming out from DropDead in game number 1. Like you said, Toki, showing why they are the runner-ups of last split, why they were the champions before that. These guys really know how to play League of Legends. And we said the win conditions in draft for game number 1, and they followed it like a Bible. So in game number 2, really looking to see what they're capable of pulling out here now that those champions from game number 1 have been fearless away. But still, MVPs from game number 1, people that I'm watching out for in game number 2, it's got to be Evil Lobster and it's got to be Branny Fan.
I mean, those two definitely played fantastically, but never saw. I think those soul shackles were always at the perfect spot at the perfect times. I mean, that's the thing with this team. It's so hard to pick any one player that's making everything happen because it's just the entire team as a whole. It's just a team of playmakers. And when anyone can make plays and all of them are also able to go off of each other's plays, it makes such a terrifying team to play against.
Absolutely. I feel like also their ability to just roam their team around. I think their rotations were extremely crisp as well. We didn't really get to talk about it in game number 1, but I mean, the lane swap at around 7.5 to 8 minutes, just getting Branny Fan so much free CS on this Sivir and not making it so that he would have to go band for band with the Zeri, I think was a really smart decision, which eventually, led into that dive onto Pixelated and gave that entire tower over to the jungle and AD carry of DropDeadGaming, just injecting so much gold into the Sivir, but so much gold that we didn't talk about, right? We didn't have time to really mention the 5 plates of gold that Branny Fan was given. We didn't have time to really talk about the bot lane turret that they had claimed. They got so much gold and it was all behind the scenes and it kind of just snuck up on you, right? Obviously there was Evil Lobster, there was Never Saw kind of at the forefront in the limelight, but there was so much happening that was invisible to what we were commentating from that first game. And I feel like that just makes this team so much fun to watch because there are threats that you don't even know are brewing that just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, like you said, Branny Fan ended up being by far the biggest damage dealer in the game. I believe went up to 36k damage. Yeah, just so much damage coming out of this AD carry. And it is Sivir. It is someone that you expect to have a lot of damage on, but still has to scale up forward. What's up?
We both said the number at the same time, said different things. Reminded me of that one scene from Teen Titans Go where they were like talking about their favorite foods, and then I think Cyborg says burgers, and then Beast Boy says burritos, and they have a whole episode where they're just fighting with each other about this thing. Just gave me those vibes. Move on anyway. But I mean, I agree with you, right? Branny Fan was the big damage dealer of that game, but a lot of it really, I feel, unsung to the hype that we were giving toward this team. But switching gears a little bit, kind of going over to Summit Esports, I feel like this team had a decent idea of what they were doing. I think that Morn in particular was looking for a lot of aggressive plays, but literally all of them went south, right? I mean, he didn't get his first and only kill until like the last 1% of the game had already, made its way. 99% of the game had gone by before he actually got his first kill and got to see the fruits of his labor actually pay off. So I think going into game number 2, I want to see more keep up that proactivity. I want to see Mei as well roam with their jungler. I feel like we talked about how important it was that Never Saw followed Evil Lobster around the map, but we didn't really get to see that reciprocated from the opposite jungle support or opposite jungle mid, by the side of Summit. So if they can, go with a similar composition, but just play it a little bit snappier, I think their chances of going to game 3 significantly shoot up here, Toki.
Yeah, like you said, they definitely showed signs of life. I mean, that dive onto Alaskan Kodiak in the bot lane, it was a very difficult dive to do just because, again, they were so far behind. Alaskan Kodiak had dominance and everything, but they were still able to make it work and they were able to get out. Nantono Asura especially was able to dish out so much damage during those fights as well. Was only slightly below Branny Fan in total damage at the end of the game, but again, the enemy team just had so much more health to go through that. On their own, they're just not able to do it. But they showed signs of life. And I think that's the main thing. They're showing that they're ready to do proactive plays. They're showing that they're ready to play with confidence. And I think, especially if you want to beat one of these top teams like DropDeadGaming, you have to have the confidence to make plays happen. Even if you think it's a difficult play, even if you think it's maybe a 50-50% play, but when you were as far behind as Summit Esports were in game 1, you need to have the confidence to do it. And that's exactly what they did. So even if in this game number 2, they're not able to make it happen, it does show me that they have a very solid foundation to work through for the rest of the season, because we should remind ourselves, this is still week 1, so all of these teams will have time to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just kind of a showcase of what to expect from these teams, right? And going into the stream, going into the series, we said that DropDeadGaming were overwhelmingly the favorites to win this series, right? If we see signs of life from Summit Esports, I think that is a good indicator as to where they could go, because you have to remember, last split, these were the guys that ended up getting third in their respective division that they shared with DropDeadGaming. But I'm glad that you kind of mentioned Asura a little bit and the potential of that Zeri, because I do wonder what Summit Esports are thinking about doing with the bot lane here for game number 2, as we do see they are on the red side, because looking at this guy's champion pool, I mean, he's got carries like Yunara and Zeri, but those are really the only two, right? He's got Ashe, Varus, Ezreal. A lot of weak side ADCs populate his champion pool in solo queue. And so I do think that if they are willing to switch up their style, if they want to give Asura, some of his comfort picks, it is going to be on a more weak-sided champion, and maybe that forces a bit of a stylized switch up for the rest of how this dynamic will work in game 2.
Yeah, and especially with Yunara getting banned out by DropDeadGaming, I think it's gonna push Asura a little further in that direction, just kind of playing through the weak side. And maybe they can play around Pixelate instead, or again, kind of like they tried in game number 1, they could play around Morn. Just try and play through that jungle. There's still a couple of strong carries available in the jungle, though with Wukong getting banned out, that's going to be one less. Same with the Viego. So a little bit of targeting banning there, but that's Summit Esports banning it out themselves. But I mean, Morn does play Lee Sin. Pantheon is still available in the pool, and Morn also plays a lot of Elise. Now, I know Elise is very hard to pull out in competitive, especially. It's definitely more of that solo queue game, but it could be a pretty spicy pick.
Yeah, as we are seeing the mid laners actually being traded here. DropDead going to go for that Aurora, and the Ahri going to be here for Summit. I do wonder if they're just going to try and pick up a jungler here on 2, or if they're maybe going to switch gears, give Asura those comfort picks that we talked about. And it looks like they're going to be doing the latter. Ashe going to be the pickup here. So like we said, this is a comfort pick for the man himself, but it does entail more of a weak side oriented style here for Summit Esports. DropDead going to reciprocate that, going to go for a weak side ADC of their own. So the setup, not too threatened by the Ashe. So I do wonder if Summit are going to maybe go for a very threatening, menacing support as a result, just making sure that this Senna Brandy fan can't 3-stack for a majority of the lane, right?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing. I think if they pick a support that's able to either roam out or maybe have a support that is more ranged, because Senna does struggle, especially in the early game, into double range. Not, at the very least, not able to get those stacks up as fast as they would typically would like. But we are going to be seeing the Vi locked in to play with the Ahri there. I don't think Vi's in a very strong spot right now in the game, but I think if you're going to pick it anywhere, you got to pick it with the Ahri. Definitely going to be a playmaking opportunity for Mei.
Yeah, this is a really good pairing with the Ahri, and this is also a really good way at shutting down the Senna. Now, if DropDead wanted to respond with like some crazy dark technology, they could just say screw it and go like Tom Kench, right? Make it impossible for you to ever get that cease and desist onto priority targets. But I also do wonder about the Vi, because it is a bit of a bad matchup into Xin. Xin has a lot of tools to cancel that Vault Breaker, and so I think the interactions between these almost always go the way of him. So Evil Lobster should be looking to be the aggressor in this matchup, as we wanted something with aura in the laning phase and something that could be menacing as well. Blitzcrank fits that bill pretty well, Toki.
Yeah, and it's a champion that likes to roam too, right? So not going to be giving away as many stacks over to the Senna. Or alternatively, if the Senna's in range to get stacks, maybe she's also in range of that rocket grab, and they have enough damage to definitely burst down the Senna basically in one go. But Ambessa locked into the top side and Alistair in support. So that will give quite a bit of safety. This is a good Mord angle. This is a really good Mordekaiser angle, actually. It's amazing. Yep, it's amazing. It's like one of Pixelated's best champions. There's a ton of armor on DropDead. This is the game for him to pop off on his star-studded pick. And when this team really wants to try and get to game 3 and possibly start this entire league out with a 1-0. Yeah, I feel like looking across the board, Summit Esports really want to be playing around top lane. I think this top side is built to be played around. I think, like you said, that Blitzcrank has roaming potential, which we really want to see utilized by Poro in the first 14 minutes of the game. DropDead also have a bit more of a top side oriented pick. You've got Aurora, you've got Ambessa, you've got these very front-loaded damage dealers in your solo lanes. Evil Lobster as well, I think, really complements these picks. And so
similar to what we were saying last game, but a little bit different, right? The junglers have a very important task of being able to have agency in the early game, but where they're supposed to spread that agency is different. It's not the bot side, it's not the hyper carries in bot lane, it is the front-loaded damage dealers in the top side, Toki.
Yeah, and with that, it is time. We are heading into game number 2 between DropDeadGaming and Summit Esports Wawas. Now, I think Summit Esports, they do have the draft to be able to bring us to a game number 3 right now. They have playmaking across everyone. And with Blitzcrank, maybe we'll even see a little bit of level 1 shenanigans.
I mean, it's Blitzcrank, right? You have to have level 1 shenanigans. He's probably going to try and hook the bush. Yep, is going to find that nobody is there. So DropDead, at least their discipline to not get baited by a level 1 Blitzcrank possible fight is there. So we are seeing just that attempt coming out from Summit. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is a much more well-rounded comp going into game number 2. I also like the angle for Mordekaiser here, right? Even in the laning phase, I think this is a pretty good matchup for him against the Ambessa, but it also has a lot of agency in team fights, right? Just being able to use that ultimate to send Alaskan Kodiak or Evil Lobster or maybe even Mr. Kiwiism, anyone who tries to get onto that backline, you send them to Brazil, you get the beefed up version of Mordekaiser, and you are able to wreak havoc in this game.
Yeah, and I think it will be very strong later on as well. I mean, so much of what they want to do on DropDeadGaming is just create circles on the battlefield right now. I never saw can do that. Evil Lobster kind of being able to use the Crescent Guard to create some space. But the Mordekaiser are just pulling them out. It basically means that this massive teamfight pressure that you're supposed to have is just going to disappear entirely, as very heavy trading in the mid lane, both just trying to proc their electrocutes.
Mei has to pop a pot, so Worth at the end of the day is, oh, hang on, Poro.
Just pulling them away. And it's level 1. I don't expect either of these two teams to really have any aggressive trading early. Yeah. But I think when level 2 comes through, especially Summit, they should have a very strong power spike available to them.
They definitely should. I'm glad that you mentioned level 6, particularly for Morn. Once you get that cease and desist, you become a completely different champion, right? I feel like DropDeadGaming have to be really conscientious about that level 6 spike for the Vi and making sure that they respect what it is capable of doing. We're seeing that it's actually going to be making plays before level 6. It goes for the Wolves, but now Morn is looking for an aggressive play into Evil Lobster's jungle. He has Prio on bot side, but he's just looking for a mid gank.
Never saw gonna get stunned up. Charmed gonna get flashed away from. So good gank, still able to get the summoner, but Mei takes so much damage in return.
Yeah, he's gonna force the recall off of Mei, and I think after he clears these backline casters, he'll just reset himself and then go for a TP. Good proactiveness there from the Vi, just making sure that his mid laner has a more advantageous lane state and maybe can look for a kill, especially with that electrocute. One wrong step and half your health can get chunked out. So I think that the mid lane matchup here is going to be walked on a tightrope, and they certainly tilt that tightrope in favor of Summit Esports with that early pressure.
Yeah, but they'll be able to come back, and I think that's the major point, because Neversaw got away by birding Flash. Flash is not going to be available if Morn decides to come back soon, and Morn should even be able to get level 6 before Neversaw's Flash comes back up, so they're going to have a lot of different tools in order to make that gank happen later on, as now Pixelated CB trading with Alaskan Kodiak, and Alaskan Kodiak super low but holds onto the Flash, has TP, shouldn't lose too much from this, but you were talking about the laning domination coming in the top side as Morn.
Cancels his recall.
This is going to be a dive. Morn is right here with Pixelated CB. Alaskan Kodiak all alone is able to jump around. Flash coming through as well, but Morn actually just holding the dive and might just go down to minions. Alaskan Kodiak gonna force the Flash from Morn instead. Slight miscommunication, just taking so much damage from that turret. Really unfortunate coming out from Summit Esports on what should have been their play.
Yeah, I don't think Morn was expecting to be in range of that last turret shot, so he ends up burning the Flash. That kind of nullifies the point that you made earlier, Toki, where you burn the Flash from Neversaw. Now you can revisit the lane. Well, now your ganks are incredibly telegraphed without your ability to actually go for that Q Flash. So the Vi losing a good amount of pressure by burning that sum. Still really well played there by Alaskan Kodiak to be able to prevent his death, because that would have been very bad. Not only would he have gone down and given gold over to Summit Esports Wawas, but he also would have missed that entire wave. So he saves himself from potential disaster in the top lane, and Now it looks like the game can resume, but more certainly now with a significant amount of less kill pressure now that he has no flash.
Yeah, but one thing I do want to mention with that, though, is Alaskan Kodiak did burn flash and TP, but Pixelated hasn't had to burn anything. So despite not getting the kill that they definitely should have gotten, I'm definitely not going to sugarcoat that, but it's going to give an advantage to Pixelated CB nonetheless. There's still going to be a little bit of extra priority that this Mordekaiser should be able to have, and especially with an 11 CS difference, though, Pixelated actually hasn't recalled for the items yet, so that gold difference not making any difference in lane yet.
Not quite.
Oh, but level 6 coming through, and immediately Realm of Death trying to flash with the Obliterate, but it does go wide. Last Kodiak still trying to jump away, but the autos are coming through, and one final Obliterate for the kill, and that's going to be First Blood Summit Esports this time around.
And there's what you talked about, Toki. You said even though Morn had to burn his own flash, he still got that summoner out of Alaskan Kodiak. Pixelated is able to look for the aggressive play, dings level 6, and gets the first kill of game number 2. Now Summit Esports firing on all fronts. They'll be first to the Dragon, and they're going to claim that. And they are the first to really make a move here for the second game, making DropDeadGaming fall behind just slightly.
Oh, the rock drive coming through, but at the same time, they are able to find Astra, and that's just going to be a kill going over to Evil Lobster. A good play, at least not burning the flash, but really well set up by Mr. Kiwiism and Brandyfan.
I apologize to you, Summit Esports Wawas. I was not intentionally cast or cursing you, as DropDead get a kill immediately after I praised their opposition. Still, though, like you said, really good that Evil Lobster doesn't burn his flash. He gets himself his first kill. Now we'll be going for that Tunneler. We got to be looking at these objectives over the next couple of minutes. Those grubs should be spawning in just a little bit, about 1 minute until those come up. And we can already see DropDeadGaming want to go for the swap. They want to go for those number advantages, but it's Summit Esports have that idea in their head as well. So very likely chance, Toki, that we see a 4v4 in the next 45 seconds.
Yeah, but right now, Summit Esports, they're strong in that top lane, or I guess from those two top laners. Pixelated CB is the one with the advantage, but Brandyfan and Evil Lobster, they're the ones that got that kill over in the bot lane. They're going to be the ones with a little bit of item advantage, and they might be stronger, but maybe with a Blitzcrank, they're going to be able to get the extra push. They were there first on the side of Summit, so maybe that's going to be enough to build some pressure, as we do see Pearl hovering near the mid lane, but doesn't seem to be an angle on Neversaw there.
You can see that the wave states are just in favor of Summit Esports right now. We've got the push in mid. The wave is somewhat neutral in the top lane. You can see that Evil Lobster is actually running up to secure that part of the map for himself in case Poro and Asura get any ideas and want to go for a 2v2. I think Summit just really want to jail this Aurora, though. I have to think that that is the correct option. This is probably the strongest champion on DropDead at the current moment. One of the best early game mages in the current meta. You cannot let them be freed up for this fight.
They're going to be going in. Evil Lobster going to be going into more, but they're trying to combo it. May. Not enough damage. Crystal Arrow over the top, but Morn going to be the first to go down. Again, going in alone versus so many people, but TP from Pixelated. The fight's not over. Summit, they want to still make something happen. Poro needs to find someone, but the rocket grab not going to be able to land. And with that, it's still a 4v4 in the top side, but Neversaw absolutely chunking Poro. Both junglers are now alive, more and able to come back in, but it's just going to be Evil Lobster and the rest of DropDeadGaming. They're going to take these grubs, and during all of this, Alaskan Kodiak just free farming, and Neversaw going to interrupt Pixelated again.
I mean, Pixelated loses a bunch for that, right? Not only did he have push in the top lane or in the bot lane, you know, and maybe could have contested Kodiak and denied some of those plates that the Ambessa got, but he also has no TP now. This Mordekaiser is going to be jailed in a 1v2 lane. He is, like you said earlier, Toki, the guy who has all the gold for the side of Summit Esports. If he's not able to flex that on DropDeadGaming, then eventually Brandyfan is just going to be getting these stacks for free on the Senna. That is not a position you want to be at if you are Summit Esports, because that scaling threat is coming up, but also the rest of the map is coming up DropDead.
Hoping on Neversaw could be hooked, but will sidestep that enough. But to your point, and to kind of build upon that, That was, I believe, 1 or 2 plates going over to Laskin Kodiak. The CS difference got nullified. The goal difference in the top lane is basically entirely gone now. The one place where they did have a big, meaningful advantage on Summit is now gone. All they have left now is they do have the first dragon of the game, and if they're able to secure the second one, maybe they can build off of that, but one dragon really isn't that much, though.
And we're going to decide that in about a minute here. You can see that resets are coming through from Summit Esports, particularly Mei going for their recall. So they're sitting on a little bit of gold. Don't actually get themselves the first item. We haven't seen any breakpoints come through from a lot of different players here on either team. Really, the only ones that have their first items completed at the current moment are Evil Lobster and Brandyfan with the static shiv. So I feel like this is just meaning that DropDead have an item advantage going into this dragon fight. And not only that, but I feel like they have an ultimate advantage. The Unbreakable Will is such a good tool to have in any skirmish that you're a part of. And speaking of being a part of skirmishes, Pixelated won't be able to participate in this, by the way. Like we said, he burned that TP earlier. Your Mordekaiser is irrelevant if you want to fight this dragon.
Yeah, but it looks like they want to get that advantage back. Morn looking for that play in the Death Grasp, just barely out of range, but they're actually going to recall on Pixelated CB there. Could look for the dive potentially, but it is going to get scouted out. So Laskin Kodiak knows this is happening. Laskin Kodiak just going to try and fight, and Morn's going to take a decent amount of damage on this trade. Laskin Kodiak's going to take any damage at all. And because of that, I think the dive is going to be very difficult, maybe impossible. But if Mei is on the way, they're definitely going to be trying. Pixelated takes a little bit of damage. Same with Morn. And they're just going to force the TP out of Neverson. That's going to be it. So no dive coming through and a free dragon going over to DropDeadGaming.
I mean, it's good that Summit Esports burned the teleport off of Neversaw, but they commit 3 members to that dive. That doesn't end up panning out. And look at what DropDead are doing with that. Not only do they take the dragon on the bot side, but they carve out vision for that entire part of the map. And now Mei may be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, we'll be forced to burn that Spirit Rush. Actually goes back in, and Wind Becomes Lightning just barely going to get dodged away with that Spirit Rush. But that's the ultimate just removed from the Arya. And now there's even Mr. Kiwiism, but will get scouted out by the ward. So no play's going to come through it, though. As I say that, Neversaw going to get hooked back in. Will go between worlds to get back to safety. Lots of close plays from both teams, but nothing's really panning out yet.
Wait, that was insane. Poro wanted the kill, but his champion said no because he hooked him toward the edge of the circle, which caused Neversaw to go all the way back to the other side. That's a funny little interaction right there. But yeah, Neversaw burns the ultimate, still holds on to that flash, though. Both mid laners having to burn that R key. And we're seeing that DropDead really just not afraid to look for plays at this point because of how much vision they got on that bot side of the map for Summit Esports Wawas with that top side play. They can basically control that entire side and look for these aggressive plays, knowing that the information cards are in their favor.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very small gold lead. I know you said earlier you don't like talking about it, but it's still 1.5K going over to DropDead, despite Summit being the ones that started off with the lead here. But they're just going to try the same play again.
Oh boy, all right.
Just going to be roaming up to the top side. This time it isn't spotted out yet.
But they're also coming here, though. They're
the ping's not coming out.
The top side. They don't actually spot them on the Scryer Orb. Okay.
Yeah, no one's here in time, but Evil Lobster is on the way. They're looking to just burst down Alaskan, and so far they're not able to, but Morn with the final shot, gonna be able to make it happen. They were calling out that play, but the vision was just so perfectly dodged.
Right. Really good positioning there from Summit Esports. Like you said, they dodge out on the Scryer Orb. Make sure that...
Oh, Shadow Crystal Arrow is going to land right onto Neversaw. Do they have enough damage to follow it up? Everyone's still pretty far away. The Rock Grab not going to land, but the Flash Vault Breaker gonna be there. But Between Worlds is cast as well. And now Neversaw over top. Gonna get shielded, but Morn once again gonna secure the kill and secure the feats of warfare for Summit. But... I'm sorry, first turn for a Senna in the bot lane?
That's absolutely worth it, in my opinion. DropDead secure the first tower of the game. That kill costed an arm and a leg, right? That was flash burn from Morn. That was ult burn from Morn as well for that topside play when they were diving. That was ult burn from Mei. They really, really committed to getting Neversaw. And I feel like even though you get the kill, you get the gold onto the Vi, you don't get anything in return. Those turrets are still standing. Those turrets are still healthy. You're still 1-to-1 in Dragon. So I need to see see some conversion with these picks that Summit Esports are really heavily indexing into.
Yeah, but one thing we can definitely say is Pixelated CB has definitely got that lead right back. And especially with that Rylai's finish, that's a massive power spike for the Mordekaiser. Makes it so much harder to play in that 1v1, and especially in the realm of death even, with the team fights, just becomes very difficult to play against. But the Rift Herald has spawned, and Evil Lobster has started it off immediately. And if they're able to get this will be feats of strength going over to DropDeadGaming. So
Summit Esports, pinched, though.
They're looking to fight, but Mr. Kiwism so far preventing the fight from starting. But Evil Lobster still in safety. And Alaskan Kodiak TP's over into the backline once again. As Pixelated CP just trying to get that fight happening. Realm of Death is there just for safety. And I believe it is with Mr. Kiwism. But in the meanwhile, Evil Lobster zoning everyone away. So as soon as they come back, Pixelated are going to be going down. But Rocket Grab on Evil Lobster. They're able to get one. But now Alaskan Kodiak spinning in the backline. Never saw over top as well. Ooh. And it's a close fight. 3-4-2 so far. Meme still the final survivor. Get the Penta. Never saw. Get it. And May just trying to prevent it, trying to run away, and it's an ace for Branny Fan. So Never Saw gonna get the Penta stolen away, but it's still an ace for 2 for DropDeadGaming.
And DropDeadGaming, never say this team doesn't come alive in the mid game. 5 for 2 in their favor. Aurora gets 4. Now Never Saw is a 5-1 mid laners. We're gonna get a replay here on this fight, and pay attention to Pixelated. So badly wanting to get that ultimate off on key targets. First, he wanted to target Branny Fan. Branny Fan flashes away, though. He's out of the range. And then Pixelated, in order to survive, he's basically forced to ult Kiwiism. That is not the target you want. And as a result, immediately after he comes out, he gets eliminated. SEW, they lose their big, burly top laner. And then it is just a clean house mode here for DropDead. A huge ultimate from the Aurora. Gives her a Quadra. Almost gives her the Pentas. Let's see how close it was. Okay, so he throws out his abilities. A 1 auto. Secures the kill.
I actually think they could have gotten the kill there. I think that was Never Saw's, but either way, kill secured, and they definitely care more about that. But now on the top side, Enchanted Crystalero onto Alaskan Kodiak, taking a lot of damage, but able to pull away for a little bit. But Rocket Grab from Poro gonna secure that, and now they could look for a potential second dive, but Never Saw gonna TP in, and the Rift Herald not even gonna charge. So unfortunately, no turret coming in for Summit Esports.
Oh my god, they hit the eye, so they canceled the aggro. That is disgusting, Kiwiism. That is nasty. Support players, take note. Take note of that play right there, because that was some 500 IQ damn move. Yeah, definitely putting the move with the Alistair, if I can make that pun. But they're also able to get the dragon during that play, which did give them feats of strength. So they are going to have that going for them. As if we take a look over at Never Saw's inventory, 5-1-1 right now, decided to get that Medjais. They are definitely feeling it this game, and honestly, can you blame them? I mean, the amount of damage that Never Saw has been able to put out in these fights, and especially being denied the Penta, gotta have some fun somewhere. And with a 1.5k gold lead, as now Never Saw could be in a bad spot, but Morn just not able to go in with Pixelated's HP being that low. Yeah, Morn didn't want to overcommit. Not only do they know that Never Saw has ultimate and has all of these tools to escape, they don't have eyes on where the rest of DropDeadGaming are. So they don't want to run the risk of the rest of them just being right around the corner and possibly turning that play on its head, because that's how that Herald play kind of started, right? I mean, they were the ones that initiated the fight. They thought they had an angle onto Branny Fan. Pixelated thought he could ult the AD carry of DropDead and just immediately take him out of the fight, but they overplay their hand and they get punished for it. So they're not willing to make the same mistake twice, and I think they wisely back off before they overcommit to anything. Yeah, but now Otacon going to be spawning in less than a minute, and that's definitely going to be the next play for both of these two teams. You missed! Yeah, the Warrior. Come on, you can do it. Oh, the Hex Slash going in. If Mr. Kiwiism's able to find 2. Headbutt's going to come through. Pulverize wasn't interrupted, but Morn still going to get hit with that 3-talon strike, and the charm not going to land. Morn will go down. Never Saw able to get that kill with the Between Worlds. And there's still 30 seconds on Otacon, so Morn will be able to come back in time, but Meme going to be the next target. Rocket Grab able to pull back, and Evil Lobster taking a lot of damage.
this could definitely still be contested by Summit.
It certainly could. I mean, Morna's going to respawn right as the Otacon comes up. The problem is the waves. I mean, you have Asura getting push in mid, but he's all alone. If he tries to transition to that Otacon and gets caught, then I feel like the play is just dead before it can hit the ground. He's got to be very careful where he steps, and that's just time that Summit maybe can't afford to just reposition their AD carry so they can maybe fight. As thank you, producers. We see 69 stacks for the Senny. Funny number. You know, Branny, how do you think, Toki, the number 68 feels about being between the two corniest numbers in the English language?
I mean, I think it's definitely a little bit jealous, you know, like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I think it's just one of those numbers, probably one of the saddest numbers in the world. It's not that you're making me sad just thinking about it. Poor 68 just does not get the respect it deserves. I
mean, he's between 69 and he's between 67, right? The two worst numbers in current North American pop culture. I have to think it's kind of like if they're all of the numbers that, you know, start with 6 are like in a little special class, and he's sitting between them and he just absolutely types and writes in his like diary or something about how he hates them, right? He's like, oh my God, 6'7" stole my lunch money, and then 6'9" pulled down my pants and tripped me because I couldn't get away in time. As now it seems like DropDead are maybe going to try and trip up Summit as they are looking to contest the Otacon. It's 20 minutes now. We got to dance around the objective, Toki.
Yeah, but they're only sending 4 on DropDeadGaming right now, and I think they're well aware of that, but Mr. Kiwiism, not the target you want, going to be able to use the Unbreakable Will immediately. But while they're trying to set up that pick on Summit, Alaskan Kodiak's just pushing this bottom lane, and BrownieFan's just pushing this mid lane. So ultimately, they're going to lose a lot of waves, they're going to lose a lot of pressure on the map, and Summit, they're just getting worked around the map.
I mean, Summit really don't want to let this Otacon go because of how much stake it gives you for your win condition, but they're going to go for some recalls. Still though, Poro is in that bush. You have to be mindful of the rocket grab if you are DropDead because you just don't have the information on where he could possibly be, but they push into the tri-bush, they get that information. The question is, who is going to pull the trigger and when will that trigger be pulled? Because you've got push in the side lanes. Mid is a little bit neutral, but the dragon more crucially is up. So I mean, Summit don't have to fight for this. They could just go for the Drake and make a cross-map play.
Yeah, but they are going to pull it, and everyone is on their way, including the TP, as the flash rocket grab is going to get flashed away by BrownieFan as well. Yep. But that is going to be a Senna without flash, and that's going to be a very big moment. Summit could definitely look to punish that later in these fights.
Yep, and you also have to keep in mind the Mordekaiser ultimate really good at denying 50-50, so I think that DropDead have to be very mindful.
Now the fight
about
could be happening.
Paro
looking in the front line. They're looking towards Evil Lobster. Cousin Guard is going to come through for some safety. And it's not enough for now, but look at the damage coming through. BrownieFan able to get the kill onto one. Not so Nas are going to get hit by the public execution as well. And it's just Pixelated CB trying to find Neversaw, but Neversaw is in a safe spot. And once again, out of the death realm into death. Pixelated CB going to be going down there. And it's a 4-0 for DropDeadGaming. And they're going to get themselves the Otacon to boot.
DropDeadGaming living up to their name. They drop Summit Esports dead here in game number 2. It took a little bit longer than game number 1, but they are going to secure the Otacon. Dragon is up as well. You have to think that they're going to reset and immediately book it for that bot side objective. This is the turn they were looking for. It was patience and it pays off here, Toki.
Yeah, and they had the lead for a while, but let's just watch this fight. How did this come through?
They get a lot of damage on the Evil Lobster, but I think crucially, Kiwiism played that fight beautifully. He headbutts Pixelated away, flashes, gets a 3-man knockup, and sets up beautifully for the damage dealers of DropDead to actually lay down their combo. Then poor Pixelated here just kind of comes out of stasis.
But we're coming right back in, and they have found Alaskan Kodiak looking for the extra damage. Just need a little bit more. And May has been able to get that kill. Let me add that 5th May. But now Evil Lobster might be going a little bit too far. And actually, they're going to be going in. Crescent Guard just trying to split up the fight. Charm is there as well. But unfortunately, just cannot deal with the damage. Now, Mr. Kiwiism trying to zone them away from the backline. But right now, Neversaw coming in with Between Worlds dealing so much damage. But neither side's able to win out quite yet, as Neversaw getting run down by Pixelated. Mr. Kiwism still trying to buy some space in the back line, but Mr. Kiwism will go down. Neversaw going to follow, and it's shutdowns coming through, and it's just BrandFan alone versus 3 trying to make it happen, but will still go down. They lose 3, but it's an ace for Summit Esports.
And Summit Esports, they have the superior numbers. Pixelated finally able to ult the priority target when their guard is down. Neversaw gets taken out of the fight before he really has any relevancy, any stake in it. And the Mordekaiser reigns supreme in the Death Realm. Summit Esports Wawas reigns supreme on the bot side fight, and they will tie up the Dragon score.
Yeah, and they're able to make a huge gold swing there because that was an objective bounty as well. Now the gold lead, it's still 4K for DropDeadGaming, but at 25 minutes, 4K doesn't matter as much as it would earlier on. It's definitely still a meaningful gold lead, but it's nothing that Summit Esports cannot handle. And we're seeing some pretty major items starting to come through. Hexblade coming out for Pixelated and Nanto no Asura. A Zeal item as well. Almost 3 items on Mei. So they're looking like they're about to hit that crucial point where they're going to be even in those fights.
Certainly feels like item-wise they are even, but I feel like that last fight really just felt like DropDead overplaying their hand. I mean, Kodiak gets picked, and I feel like DropDead, they didn't need to fight that, right? They understood that they were 4v5. I think that they overestimated how much stronger they were than Summit Esports, decided to go for it regardless, and ended up getting punished for it. So it's a lot of gold, a lot of injection back into Pixelated. I think Asura as well on this Ashe that you aptly put, Toki, is starting to get really big in terms of items. The question is, will it be enough? You've stalled out the soul for the time being.
Oh, but BrandFan gonna get hit by everything right now. Cease and desist. Spirit Rush as well. Mei gonna be able to get the kill. Gonna be able to get 1 reset as Mr. Kiwism taking a lot of damage even through that Unbreakable Will. And there's nowhere to go. It's gonna be a double kill for Mei. And Baron is available. Alaskan Kodiak is pushing on tier 3, but it's 5v3 on the map. This could be theirs.
I mean, I really feel like they have to be careful with how they play it. Sure, the Death Realm isn't available for Summit Esports, but there is the hook. There is also the charm. There are these pick tools that are available.
TP from Alaskan.
DropDead. They're going to fight it 3v4.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for it. TP's coming out from Pixelated as well. And now Public Execution on the backline. It finds Asura. And Neversaw going to be credited with the kill. Going to take down Mei as well. And now Poro going to be finished off. Triple kill. This time around it's going to be Pixelated that prevents the Penta. And now 1 final hit. Evil Lobster is in the Death Realm with Pixelated. Will try to win a 1v1 and will succeed. 3v5 ace for DropDeadGaming, and they lose no one.
And it was DropDeadGaming. The moment they see the teleport, they know they're on a timer. They know they have to go before Pixelated gets himself into the fight, and they pull the trigger. It is Crescent Guard. It is Between Worlds. It is Public Execution onto the faces of the carries for Summit Esports Wawas. And 3v5 doesn't matter. They get the ace, they get the Baron, and they're right back in the driver's seat for game 2 here, Toki.
Yeah, now it isn't going to be Soul coming up in 2 minutes, but there is another Dragon. But with this gold lead, with this Baron buff, and especially with this inhib in the bot lane now being open, Alaskan Kodiak was able to take down the tier 3 turret right before that play. They could potentially look to win the game. If they are able to find 1 or 2 more pickoffs, I think this is their game to win.
Certainly feels that way. Dragon up in about 1 minute and 40 seconds. This would be Soul point for either team that claims it. So still a ways away.
Oh, but now Between Worlds in the bot lane, and Asura just forced to flash. You will take the ultimate for flash trade any day.
Yeah, you absolutely will. I mean, that ultimate should be back up by the time Dragon spawns as well. So there really is no harm in just trying to fish for that pick, because Asura, most critically, will not have that flash by the time the Dragon rolls around. Certainly worth it, like you said, Toki. And now, when you've got this Baron for a little bit less than 2 minutes, you got to try and make the most of it. There is that exposed inhibitor on the bot side, and then there, of course, is the mid lane just trying to break the base on that front as well.
No, it becomes Lightning not going to land, so they're not going to be able to start a fight, but they will be able to secure that tier 2. But they're picking up to the top side. Pixelated CB may have overextended a little bit. There is the Death Realm, so it could definitely turn this into a 1v1. And right now hasn't been popped in, but Pixelated taking so much damage just from Alaskan Kodiak, and it never even comes down. It's just a clean kill going over to Neversaw.
Kodiak was gonna go for the 1v1 there. Like, he was actually going to win against the Mordekaiser. Talk about 200 years. I mean, we've gotten past 200 years, realistically. I mean, Ambessa has to be at least 300, right, Toki? Like,
yeah, all of their design went in there. Every mechanic they've ever dreamed up, it's in Ambessa.
But, like, we said 200 years in, like, season, I think it was, like, 9. It was whenever Aphelios came out, because that was the meme about him for the longest time. That was 6 years ago. So it's got to be at least 300, sure.
Yeah, I mean, they put everything into that as right now. DropDeadGaming, they're putting everything into this push. They've already taken the top in him. Almost cracking through mid lane. That's Neversaw gonna dodge the rock grab, and instead Poro gonna be taking a little bit of damage on the way out. But meanwhile, in the backline, Astra gonna get pinched down. And look at that pulverize coming through. Mr. Kiwiism just able to help the team clean up. May trying to survive, but just a little bit of HP. And Kodiak gonna get pulled back with a death's grasp. But it is still a 3-for-1. It is still a Baron up wave. Pixelated trying to make something happen. Realm of Death onto Mr. Kiwiism will get the kill. And now once again, Pixelated will be run down by Brandyfan. And this should be it. DropDeadGaming, unless May can do something really fancy, and Neversaw is never going to let it happen. It is just going to be the clean ace, and this should be a 2-0 going the way of DropDeadGaming.
You love them, you know them, you missed them. DropDeadGaming, your runners-up, your former champions, they are back like they never left here, Toki.
I mean, they looked absolutely phenomenal in Game 1. Game 2, Summit Esports definitely put up a much bigger fight, but I mean, look at that gold graph. There were definitely dips, but it was always DropDeadGaming that were in charge.
Yeah, DropDead, really good series coming from them, and this is the team to beat for anyone in their division, right? These are the guys expected to be finishing first, expected to be one of the winners possibly of the Immortal League, kind of looking really far into the future here of the fall split. I know we're only on week 1, Toki, but it would be really impossible to talk about DropDeadGaming as an organization in the Immortal League without mentioning their accolades and the fact that they have the drive, the prowess, and the synergy to accomplish and take that just a step further if they so wish. And you got to believe that they certainly are desiring to do so. For the side of Summit, though, I definitely agree with you. Better fight here in game number 2, but still just a lot of holes, I think, to plug at the end of the day. I think a lot of exposure was had by DropDeadGaming, but hey, you know, kind of looking on the bright side, there can be a pretty good amount to learn from getting shellacked this early on. I mean, it is only week 1. You already have to deal with the, you know, arguably strongest player, strongest team in your division. So getting them out of the way immediately, I think, is pretty good for you overall if you want to take the split holistically, and your chances, I think, aren't too bad about getting into the playoffs, at least after week number 1. So still really good stuff from Summit Esports. Wawas at the end of the day, particularly really liked what May was capable of. I think that Ari game for game number 2, he had a lot of really good pop-off moments. So want to definitely keep my eyes on him. But this is just DropDeadGaming, man. It's no shame in losing to them. They are just that good, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about that. And May. Definitely, we had some criticism in game 1, not following through with the jungler. Game number 2 was completely different. I think it was a good draft pick to have an easier combo for them. So we're definitely, it shows that they're aware where they need to plug their holes. And I think that's what's really going to catapult them further up into this league. But DropDeadGaming always going to be the difficult team to beat. But with that, week 1, unfortunately, is over for now on the Titan broadcast. But what an excellent way to start this entire league for Titan Immortal. But my name was Tokimi. Joining me was Quacks. Be sure not to miss next week when we're back for week 2. And I hope you all have yourselves a great night.
We'll